a.m. in Kazakhstan on Wednesday morning, about 27 minutes after sunrise.
Хорошо, Гош, я принял.
There morally with the undocking, and RDR command will be sent from the panel. Yes, that's correct. It will be manually sent command from the panel.
Хорошо.
Copy that.
От пульта, да? Да, пока все правильно. Спасибо.
Just 7 minutes now until the undocking command is issued to begin opening the hooks on the Soyuz side of the docking interface. We're about 8.5 minutes away from physical separation. During their time on orbit, as we mentioned earlier, the crew returning to Earth tonight, Mazurkin, Van de Hei, and Akaba, will have spent 168 days in space and on the station. It was a 4-orbit, 6-hour rendezvous for them back on September 13th after their launch from the Baikonur Cosmodrome. They will have completed 2,688 orbits of the Earth and 71.1 million miles of travel. Alexander Mazurkin wrapping up his second space flight and a total of 334 days in space. Joe Akaba completing his third mission, 1 space shuttle assembly flight, 2 long-duration missions on the station, 306 days in space on those 3 flights. Mark Van de Hei completing his first space flight, of course, 168 days, in which he accomplished 4 spacewalks during expeditions 53 and 54.
I'm preparing command R17. So the close transmitter command is sent. Gosha, as soon as you start receiving the image, could you please tell us?
Alexander Mazurkin, the Soyuz MS-06 commander, who's in the center seat of the descent module, again flanked on his left by Mark Van de Hei, and on his right by Joe Akaba, reporting that the Soyuz is ready for undocking, which is coming up just over 6 minutes from now. The International Space Station is currently flying in an orbit inclined 51.6 degrees to either side of the equator, moving from southwest to northeast over southwestern China.
020200, we have sent E2 command. We have Caddo repress. We have 3 BDUs sensors, and we are at page 41 now. We copy you and confirm.
Больше включил. Принято.
So we have mechanical contact or docking mechanism engaged. So we're at page 41.
That call from the interpreter who is providing the translation of conversations between the Russian Soyuz shift flight director of the Russian Mission Control Center and Alexander Mazurkin on board the Soyuz, indicating that we have docking mechanism power-up, as we are under 4 minutes from the command to be issued to open up the hooks on the Soyuz side of the docking interface at the Poisk module on the space-facing side of the Russian segment of the International Space Station.
Yes, Mark, go ahead and activate it. The headlight, R8.
Once undocking occurs, Expedition 55 will formally begin under the command of Anton Shkaplerov and his crewmates, NASA's Scott Tingle and Norishige Kanai of the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, who will be a three-man crew for the next 3 weeks until the launch on March 21st of the next trio to reside on the space station, that being Oleg Artemyev of Roscosmos and NASA's Drew Feustel and Ricky Arnold, who will lift off in the Soyuz MS-08 spacecraft from the Baikonur Cosmodrome on March 21st on a 2-day rendezvous to link up to the International Space Station and become part of Expedition 55.
Один раз, да?
Just once. Yes.
Хорошо, переходи дальше.
Now,
D2 и 16 контролируем.
we are monitoring D2 and 16 from this display.
0206, мне надо включить D7, да?
At 0206, I will have to activate the D7. So D2 and 16 are not illuminated, and we are ready to send D7 command at 0206. We concur.
Хорошо. Ну и потом по вашему указанию в 0207 будем готовы выдать команду D17.
And 0207 will be ready to send D17 command.
Less than 2 minutes away from the initiation of the undocking command, which will take 90 seconds to enable the hooks on the Soyuz side of the docking interface to open, at which point springs on both sides of the interface will push off against one another to provide physical separation.
Is to be sent at the specified time. Copy that, Moscow.
Саша, посмотри, пожалуйста, на формате ТВС, горит ли виртуальный транспарант работы передатчика сам.
Sasha, could you please see if the transmitter functioning on display is on? No, you don't have to do this, because we are receiving the image right now. The 7 command has been sent, so the boom is drawn, and as well as the latches, G17, and the hooks are closed.
30 seconds away from the undocking command, the International Space Station now crossing the border between China and Mongolia.
Copy. 17 seconds.
Час.
5. At 0207, we have sent the D17 command. The hooks are closed. Indicator is not illuminated.
The Soyuz hooks are now driving open.
And approach S13 is not illuminated, but S11 is illuminated.
This view is from the external camera on the Soyuz MS-06. Should provide us a view of the Soyuz at physical separation and backing away from the Poisk module on the space-facing side of the station.
So 1 minute and a half. Copy, Moscow.
Механсоединение погасло.
So interface closed. The механсоединение is not illuminated.
Standing by for physical separation.
1 minute 15.
Ожидаем режим ССВП выполнен. И физического...
We are standing by for the physical separation, and the SSVP mode is complete.
Хорошо.
We are receiving image. It is stable.
Undocking is confirmed.
Mode complete.
Undocking confirmed at 5:08 p.m. Central Time, 6:08 p.m. Eastern Time, as the Soyuz MS-06 and the International Space Station flew 252 statute miles over southeastern Mongolia. Alexander Mazurkin, Joe Acaba, Mark Vande Hei on the first leg of the trip home.
We are standing by for your confirmation. Yes, Gosha, copy that. As soon as we get it, I will report it. Could you please send R5 command from the first panel? Mark, R5 command. Could you please send it? We are seeing the docking interface, and we do not see any foreign objects on the docking interface. Okay, R5 command is sent. Thank you, Mark. We are receiving a very clear picture, very clear image. We are standing by for the first burn. Yes.
Again, undocking occurring at 5:08 p.m. Central Time. Expedition 55 now officially underway aboard the International Space Station. As we stand by for the first of two separation burns, this will be an automated 8-second burn of 4 of the Soyuz thrusters to increase its opening rate by 0.5 of a meter per second.
Okay, could you please send R8 command transition to the wide angle lens? Copy. D7, yes. I confirm D7 command. In 20 seconds, we're standing by for the first burn.
Now a wide-angle view from the external Soyuz television camera. Just below the crosshairs, you can see the Poisk module docking port from which the Soyuz just separated. Undocking again occurring at 5:08 p.m. Central Time. And the first of the two separation burns underway. This is an 8-second burn.
It is not illuminated anymore.
And that burn now complete, everything nominal. And the Soyuz now going into a roll program for the correct orientation for the second of the two burns coming up about 90 seconds from now, which will be a 15-second burn to further increase its opening rate from the station by 1.5 meters per second.
We see the joint GSO in attitude. Yes, we confirm. We also see joint GSO.
Second,
20 seconds till the second burn. We confirm. Depot operation is on.
The second in the pair of separation burns now underway. This again a 15-second firing of the thrusters. And the second of the two separation burns complete. Everything looked great. So the opening rate now increasing between the Soyuz and the International Space Station. You see the full complex in view from the Soyuz external cameras as both vehicles pass over the far eastern coast of Russia over the Sea of Okhotsk. And there's a view of the Soyuz from external cameras on the International Space Station.
Есть. Вы перешли на первый коллектор.
Now we have transitioned to the first manifold and sending the 8 command. Copy.
Отключили ССВП.
So SSVP is deactivated and V18 command is being sent. Copy. Okay, we will input data for settings for the descent. Copy. The indicator is not illuminated. Copy.
Отключаем фару.
We are deactivating the headlight.
Фара.
The headlight is off.
Выбираем маркеру транспортного положения.
And we are transferring a route controller to transport position.
Again, this view, as the station and Soyuz have passed into an orbital sunrise of the Soyuz MS-06, which undocked from the International Space Station about 7 minutes ago. The Soyuz, with Alexander Mazurkin, Joe Acaba, and Mark Vande Hei on board, will move to a position about 12 miles away from the International Space Station for the deorbit burn that is scheduled just under 2 hours and 23 minutes from now.
Посмотри, чтобы, если тебе видно, чтобы мой скафандр там не цеплялся за ручку, да?
Mark, please make sure that my spacesuit is not touching this handle.
Принял, Гош, вы заложили уставки.
So we have uploaded the settings for descent and we have the indicator descent illuminated, and we are ready to send the Go4 command. Copy. Inaudible.
Принял. Выдал Г4.
We sent Go4 command. Copy. Now,
And a better view now of the Soyuz MS-06, its solar arrays clearly in view.
in work.
Again, the Soyuz comprised of 3 sections. The uppermost section is the orbital module, which has been depressurized in advance of the pyrotechnic separation of the 3 sections of the Soyuz following the deorbit burn later this evening.
So the pressure.
The crew is strapped into their respective seats in the middle section, with Mazurkin in the center seat, flanked on his left by Vande Hei and by Acaba on his right. The bottommost section is the instrumentation and propulsion module, which will have exhausted its lifetime of usefulness after the deorbit burn that's coming up in 2 hours and 21 minutes.
9 килограмм потратили.
We consumed 9 kilograms of propellant.
Trying to find the vertical piece. I did not unlock the Sasha, Mark, Joe.
Sasha, Mark, and Joe, this is Anton. I wish you a successful flight. We are already missing you. Thank you, Georgi. This is not Georgi, this is Anton. Anton, you probably will be rich, because I did not recognize your voice. All right, we also wish you a successful flight on board the station, and we will be standing by for the pictures from the outer space. We'll be seeing you on the ground. Thank you. Well, this is MCC Moscow. We are not saying goodbye yet. We still have work to do. Altair.
There we go.
Right now, you don't have a lot to do for a while.
Okay, I see some wires. It doesn't on the way. Okay. Yeah, this one. Okay.
This is Mission Control Houston, that conversation between Anton Shkaplerov and the crew on board the Soyuz MS-06. They're tied together for the time being by a VHF communications link. Shkaplerov indicating to the crew on board the Soyuz, we already miss you. And flight controllers of the Russian Mission Control Center in Korolyov indicating we still have work to do. That work in front of everybody involved here includes the deorbit burn 2 hours and 18 minutes from now. That will lead to a landing of the Soyuz on the steppe of south-central Kazakhstan 3 hours and 11 minutes from now at 8:31 p.m. Central Time.
Mark, is it okay? Yes, it's okay. Thank you, Mark.
Down in Kazakhstan, the weather forecast for landing calls for an overcast ceiling at 700 feet. Visibility will be somewhat diminished, 3 statute miles, and light fog with a few snowflakes in the air. Winds out of the southwest, 12 knots gusting to 18, and a temperature of about 30 degrees Fahrenheit at landing time, which is not too bad for late February, given Kazakhstan weather conditions, which are very dynamic this time of the year. There is a team of NASA and Russian support personnel with the Russian search and recovery forces in the remote town of Zhezkazgan, some 90 miles to the northwest of the intended landing site for the crew on board the Soyuz MS-06. The current plan is a nominal landing operation this evening that would call for 10 out of the 12 Russian Mi-8 helicopters to deploy from Zhezkazgan for a 30-minute helicopter flight to the landing site to recover the crew, and then to return the crew to the staging city of Karaganda. That still could change if conditions degrade, but so far that is the nominal plan that is in play, and that was reviewed earlier today by the Russian State Landing Commission operating from the Russian Mission Control Center outside of Moscow.
Do we have to press down, push to talk button? You know, 1 minute ago I asked a specialist about it, and they told me that, you know, they still want it to be pressed down. No problem.
Саша, давай так сделаем. Мы вам разрешаем ее отжать, но если появятся помехи, которые будут нам мешать...
Sasha, you know, it's a go to release the push-to-talk button, but if we have some interference that will prevent us from, you know, listening and receiving data, then you will have to push it again. All right, but in any case, we are standing by here, so if you want to talk to us, you know, just push your push-to-talk button. Copy that, Moscow.
Тут Москвы, Альтаиром.
Moscow, Altair. Go ahead, Sasha.
Для расширения моего кругозора.
For my awareness,
Ты сказал, что у ставки...
you said that you have already entered the settings for descent,
Когда место входа появится?
and when we will have the re-entry time on the display settings? After you have activated accelerometer, Sasha, only after that.
That conversation with Alexander Mazurkin, or Sasha Mazurkin, aboard the International Space Station's Soyuz MS-06 vehicle that you see in view, has to do with his entry into the onboard computers on the descent settings, basically the timers that will kick off the deorbit burn 2 hours and 14 minutes from now, which will be a 4-minute, 39-second retrograde firing of the Soyuz main engine to slow the Soyuz down
They are there on display, and they are all
by 128 meters per second, allowing it to slip out of orbit to begin its descent back into the Earth's atmosphere. All of the Soyuz systems in great shape. The stage set for the deorbit burn and the landing of this vehicle just 27 minutes after sunrise on Wednesday morning in south-central Kazakhstan near the town of Zhezkazgan. After landing, the crew will be extracted by the search and recovery teams and technical specialists from RSC Energia. Assuming conditions permit, they'll have a few minutes to be placed in chairs right outside of their vehicle to have a few moments to get their land legs back and their equilibrium. The nominal plan usually calls for the crew to be carried one by one in their chairs into a nearby inflatable medical tent for post-landing medical testing before they reboard a trio of helicopters for a 2-hour flight back to the staging city of Karaganda to the northeast of the landing site itself. Once in Karaganda, the crew will split up, with Akaba and Vandahai boarding a NASA jet to be returned to Houston. Alexander Mazurkin will board a Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center aircraft to be flown back to Chkalovsky Airfield just outside of his training base and his home in Star City, Russia. You will be hearing from time to time a reference to the call sign of Altair. That is the call sign for the Soyuz vehicle selected by Mazurkin as the Soyuz commander. This is Mission Control Houston with everything going well aboard the Soyuz MS-06 following its undocking from the International Space Station. The 3 crew members on board the Soyuz are now just over 3 hours away from touching down in south-central Kazakhstan to complete 168 days in space and aboard the International Space Station. The 3 crew members left on board the station itself, now Expedition 55, under the command of Anton Shkaplerov, along with NASA's Scott Tingle and Norishige Kanai of the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency. They will be a 3-man crew for the next 3 weeks until the next trio of residents is launched from the Baikonur Cosmodrome, that being Oleg Artemiev of Roscosmos and 2 NASA flight engineers, Drew Feustel and Ricky Arnold. They will launch on March 21st for a 2-day rendezvous to the station, arriving at the station on March 23rd. So with that, we'll wrap up this broadcast for this evening. One more to go. That'll be our deorbit burn and landing broadcast. That will begin at 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time here on NASA Television, and we'll carry that broadcast through the safe recovery of the crew down in south-central Kazakhstan. For now, we'll call it a broadcast, and we'll invite you back to rejoin us about an hour and a half from now for the return of the Expedition 54 crew members on Soyuz MS-06. For now, this is Mission Control Houston.